Alright guys, we are heading out to RSC Racing Sport Concepts in Columbus, Ohio. I'm just giving you a look at the car as it is now because it is going to look totally different really soon. Yep, all the carbon flash stuff on the car is going to be carbon fiber. But even more so than that, we're going to be spicing it up even outside of that. So, the next time you see this thing, we're going to be doing some carbon fiber work on it. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for pressing play. As you can see behind me, my C8 Corvette Z06 is here at Racing Sport Concepts in Ohio, RSC. That can only mean one thing, carbon fiber. Now, we're gonna go over the car because it's already done. We're gonna go over the car step by step and have Bill, the owner of RSC, actually talk to us about what we did, why we did it, and the alternatives to what we did. Because what I'm calling this is kind of stage 2 to the HPO Z06 build. Because we've seen a carbon fibered out Z06 in the past on this channel. Obviously my black 2023 was carbon fibered out with RSC stuff. But this time we did a couple things different. And I would call this stage 2 because it's going to be more downforce, more aggressive, and just look better. How much better? A lot. Let's check it out. All right, so I'm going to do kind of a high overview here and show you the things that we changed. I'm going to have Bill give us the technical terms for everything, and we're also going to go into alternatives for these things too, because there are a lot of parts that RSC has, and I don't want you guys to just look at my car and be like, oh, okay, they have this, this, and this. They actually have a really extensive catalog for the C8 Corvette and other cars too. Porsches, BMWs, all kinds of stuff. So if you're not a Corvette guy, you can still check them out. But what we're going to focus on here in the front is, of course, the carbon fiber canards. Now, you guys know, or the dive, you know that the car came with carbon flash. So everything here has been replaced with exposed carbon fiber, and that includes the dive planes here. So this is RSC's dive plane, of course, perfect carbon fiber. This is their more aggressive front splitter. And of course, we're going to get all the technical terms from Bill. Like I said, once I go over all of the things we've changed, we're going to have him talk to us more about the details. So we did the canards, the splitter, and then coming over to the side here, we did do the carbon fiber mirror caps, which are replacements, not just stick-on caps. The full-length carbon fiber side skirts. The carbon fiber boomerangs for the air intake, the carbon fiber around the rear window all the way around, and a ZR1-esque wing. It's a little bit smaller than the real ZR1 wing, but looks absolutely freaking phenomenal. I mean, yeah, super happy with that. And then of course the rear diffuser. I mean, look at that angle right there. That is something straight out of the dreams. So anyway, lots of carbon fiber here at RSC. Let's start talking to Bill, going over the specifics of exactly what we did, and like I said, and why, and the alternatives, because there's a bunch of different parts you could do differently. All right, so like I said earlier, we were going to get Bill involved here because there are a lot of specifics to the parts that we put on the car here. So Bill, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here with the front splitter and these dive planes?
Sure. So for your version 2 Z07 build, we did something a little bit different. This is our GTZ front splitter, which typically doesn't go with canards, but we wanted to do something special for Justin because he's special. And so we put the two together. So this is an option we'll be offering now. If you want to get a GTZ splitter with canards, just let us know. We can adapt it. The canards are pretty standard Z07 canards or Z07 style canards. You know, they go in the same mounting locations as the stock ones do. That's another nice thing about the front splitter is it installs exactly the same way as a Z06 or a Z07 splitter. So as usual with our products, there's no cutting or drilling. It uses all the factory mounting locations, the factory clips, as well as hardware to kind of bolt all three pieces together. It is a 3-piece splitter similar to the factory, but as you can see, we worked really hard to get the gaps to be super tight to the car and very consistent across the whole front of the car. That's kind of one of the things I think separates our product from some of the other ones out there, is just the attention to detail and keeping those gaps consistent and tight across the entire front bumper of the car.
So like Bill said, the GTZ splitter was initially developed not to be used with the canards, but because we're doing a special HPO Stage 2 kit, we made it work. And when I say we, I mean him. But ultimately, if you don't like this setup and you want to stick with the more Stage 1 setup like I had on my black car, they have something for you there too. So tell us a little bit about that.
We have a regular Z06 splitter, which, you know, has a stockish look without the slot for the canards. There's a slot right here on all the splitters that use canards. Then we have a Z07 version, which is the same splitter with the slots pre-cut, you know, during manufacturing and prior to clear coating. And then this is the most aggressive option. This splitter we worked really hard on maintaining the geometry on the underside of the car so that the front wing, front diffuser maintains its stock geometry and you're not going to lose any downforce under the car. If we extended this further down, then you start to change the airflow that's going underneath the car and into the front wheel liners and everything like that. So that was a really big challenge to kind of get those lines to look correct. I would say we made more versions of this splitter in development than probably any other part, just trying to get it right and get it to look right on the car. I think one of its other strong suits is the way it looks from the side view. We've gotten rid of that kind of upward slope that you see on the stock car, and we can kind of hide it with these outside edges, and then it comes up in the middle so that you don't disrupt the airflow.
Awesome. So again, guys, the black car I had, the 2023 Z06, I had the Z07-esque splitter that they sell with the dive planes, and this time we wanted to go with something a little more aggressive, something that could potentially create more downforce, and that's where I'm coming up with the Stage 2 thing. That's my terminology, but at the end of the day, Bill is going to most likely offer this as a kit. So if you wanted to make your car look just like this, you can call in and order the HPO kit. So if you like the idea, like I said, HPO kit is going to get you all this stuff, and we're going to dive deep into all of it. We're only talking about the splitter and the canards right now. We're going to move on to the next piece right now. So the next thing we're going to discuss, guys, is going to be the mirror caps here, and I'll let Bill tell you why it's not really just a mirror cap.
Well, I mean, it is kind of just a mirror cap, but what I would say is important about this specific one compared to some of the others is, one, it's not an overlay.
Yeah.
We're really big on not doing overlays just because they tend to lift and separate, and then you kind of get a seam there. And the other thing is, when you do an overlay, you're ultimately just hand trimming those edges normally, so you don't really have a molded edge, and a molded edge is a lot easier to keep it clean and kind of exactly where you want it than if you were hand trimming it. So if you ever see like an RSC mirror cover, what you're going to notice is that this seam is a lot tighter and this seam is really straight and consistent along the top. It even slides under this little black trim piece at the back. And then these attach with the factory mounting locations. So you would remove your stock cover completely, and then this will reinstall using those same mounting locations and clips. And it just gives you a really clean, nice look with an OEM fit and finish. And I think that's really the main differentiator on ours versus some of the other ones. And that's why, we charge a little bit more, because, it's a little bit more complicated to make. I would say this is probably like the 5th or 6th version of tabs, like as we've, tried to make them better and better and better. And they fit really nicely now. And it's an easy first mod or something. If you've got a bunch of other carbon on the car, this is something that you can do pretty quickly, simply.
Yeah. So this is not necessarily special to the Stage 2 kit that I'm talking about. We did this on the black Z06 as well. I just really liked the way that it ties in all the other carbon, and like Bill said, it's a replacement cap. It's not an overlay, so it actually does reduce weight to some degree too. So I know those people like Brandon's Garage out there, he's counting every ounce. This is the stuff you want.
A lot of you will know this, but we get a lot of questions about it, and they do fit the C8 Stingray, the Z06 E-Ray, and the ZR1.
Yeah. Okay, so next let's talk about the side skirts. So obviously you guys can tell these are full length side skirts. They're not your 3/4 length like the stock side skirts. Other than that, Bill, what do we have here?
They're a little bit wider. They're obviously longer. The design is kind of an OEM look. They're a little bit taller than the OEM ones as well. You'll kind of see that this edge is a little bit taller. But what they really do is they kind of set the car down on the ground a little bit lower and make it a little bit wider. Another thing that they do is they kind of tie the front splitter to the carbon fiber on the back and the side and stuff like that. Another thing that they do is they do block quite a few rock chips, just because they are wider. Another question that we get that we can showcase now is they do work with pretty much all of the mud flaps, the aftermarket mud flaps that are out there. We built that in kind of knowing that a lot of you guys like to add those on.
Yeah. So one of the very first things I did notice with the full length side skirt, even on the black Z06 that I had, was I heard less rocks literally hitting the rear quarters of the car, because like Bill was saying, this provides protection all the way down, whereas the stock one, even though it's not as tall, would only do 3/4 of the car anyway. So this one being taller and the full length, it really offers protection, even though that's not really what you're getting a side skirt for. It's just an added bonus. But moving back from there, we're gonna come up to the boomerang, or the air intake area. I like calling it a boomerang. It looked more like a boomerang on the Stingray, but either way, this is obviously a carbon fiber replacement. It's a 3-piece replacement. Again, the stuff that I've noticed with it is a pretty significant weight difference from the stock stuff. I mean, again, when you're counting ounces to make sure that you're not adding anything to the car that's increasing weight, it's nice to see that the carbon fiber parts are literally helping in that aspect as well as just looking really good. But yeah, Bill, talk to us about number one. I know this was one of the harder parts for you guys to develop, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
So the big challenge with these is typically the door handles. There's a lot of different people that will make a replacement part for this part and this part, which is definitely not as hard to make. We had a lot of experience with this on the C8, and we sold a ton of C8 side vents, so we knew when this car came out that people valued having a true replacement part for this door handle piece as opposed to an overlay, especially just with all these tight edges around here. The fact that you're going into it all the time, when you do the overlays, they tend to lift here because you're going into the handle.
Yep.
Again, you've got that molded in edge. You've got all your factory fastening locations. There's screws that come in from the back, as well as plastic clips. One other thing we did is we made sure that we lined up the weave across all 3 parts, and of course with the side skirts down below. And they're a nice touch. They're very intricate. It's as hard to make these as almost any other part on the car. But they do make, they're a nice touch, and the angle that they're at, they do catch a lot of light.
Yeah, they do.
We worked really hard to nail this gap here and this gap here, just so that you can, when you put them on, it doesn't look like you've got a bunch of aftermarket stuff on the car that kind of makes it a little chopped up.
Yeah, so one of the most interesting parts about this, in my opinion, is you buy this from RSC. These are all 3 replacement pieces, where if you buy it from GM, because GM does offer this part now, even from GM, this part here is an overlay. So I thought that was incredible. Like, even from GM, you're not getting full replacement parts. So This was one of my favorite pieces, by the way, because of like what Bill said. It catches so much light, regardless of where you're parked. You're going to very clearly tell that that's carbon fiber, and it looks amazing. So moving back from the boomerangs or air intakes, we're going to talk about the trim, the carbon fiber trim now that runs around the glass of the rear hatch on a coupe. So normally all these pieces are carbon flash, minus this piece up here will be body color. These pieces of carbon fiber, of course, look really good on the car, but I'm curious, because I actually haven't talked to Bill about this. How were these to develop?
Not too bad. I mean, these are pretty straightforward. I would say the only challenge really is, you know, doing the attachment points so that you can reuse these little mesh grills. We try to always use like a factory mesh, whether it's the diffuser or something like this, just because it always has a really nice fit and finish, and it's hard to duplicate that in an aftermarket setting. It can be done, but it's obviously going to be super costly. So yeah, I mean, these were all pretty easy. The camera, there is some complexity in terms of how that camera mounts and trying to duplicate the factory mounting location so that that camera can mount in there, you know, in the exact location that it's supposed to, and it's all squared up and everything like that. This part, the lower trim piece, is pretty simple. The only challenge with that is installing it. Obviously, you have to remove the glass to get it to go in, and all of these parts are full replacement parts. They're 100% carbon fiber. There's no fiberglass, there's no plastic, and they're not overlays.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed with installing this is now whenever I pop my hatch, believe it or not, the hatch goes up a lot easier. And we weighed them last time when I did this on the black Z06, and I want to say it was somewhere around 2 pounds. You literally saved 2 pounds off of just the trim pieces here, which is incredible when you think about how much weight that actually is just because these were plastic. So
yeah, that's high up too.
Yeah, so yeah, the hatch opens easier, but again, this was something we did do on the black Z06 as well, but by now I'm sure you can already very clearly see the thing we didn't do on the black Z06, and that is going to be the ZR1.1.
Yeah, we don't want to call it a ZR1 wing out of respect for our friends in Michigan.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not designed to be a like a replacement ZTK wing. We scaled this wing down, so it's a little bit shorter. It doesn't have as much angle of attack. It's less draggy, and we did that just because we knew that, you know, people weren't going to necessarily have all of the other things that are on the ZR1 to balance out that added downforce on the back. So this was designed to kind of be, you know, a different option for a Z07 owner who, you know, wants something different than the Z07 wing. You know, we really like kind of this straight blade design. It looks really good on the back of the car with a little crown. We worked really hard to get that geometry correct so it doesn't look like it's tilting up on the sides like a smiley face. Another thing we worked on was just trying to dial in these stanchions so that they have really nice organic surfaces and they look good on the car, and they kind of give you a high quality OEM look that, you know, you can be proud of when you're walking up to your car, when you show it to somebody.
So obviously it is a ZR1-esque wing is what I like to call it, but it's like Bill said, it's a scaled down version. I think this is a more size appropriate wing for a Z06 at least. I mean, if you've ever seen the ZTK wing in person, it is massive. Even on the ZR1, it is just a massive piece of carbon, and it's odd to me that they did that and did nothing more in the front. So why I decided to do this wing was really because we did that front splitter, which was also bigger. So it feels like this is more kind of balanced out now because of that. Now, you guys know on the black Z06 I had the Z07 wing with the risers from RSC that kind of put it almost in the same, very similar height. But of course, the Z07 wing has that dip in the center, and you know its shape is somewhat controversial. There's some people who love it, some people who hate it. I think this design looks much better whenever you also add in the diffuser, which just so happens to be the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yep, so we've got our GTZ diffuser. You know, anybody that's been on the channel or has met us, you know, over the last year is familiar with this part. We're very well known for it. It's a two-piece diffuser. It actually extends about to here, the rear axle. There's a second piece on the bottom that extends those diffuser fins and creates a smooth surface all the way to the back of the car. We also made some changes here around these grills and kind of exaggerated this area. We changed up this shelf here and obviously all the fins down there and the stuff along the bottom to give it, you know, a really unique look with an OEM plus vibe. Some other nice things are it reuses the factory grills like we talked about earlier, so you just remove those from your factory diffuser, reinstall them on this, as well as your grill bezel. So one thing we really like is how clean the factory bezel goes in there, and it just gives you a little bit more depth to the product, you know, versus just having carbon around there or something like that. It also helps work as a heat shield to protect it as well.
Yeah, so one thing we're going to talk about here, of course, is obviously we talked about it in the front. If you don't like the GTZ splitter, you wanted something more factory, that is an option that they have as well. Even if you want to go just pure Z06 or if you want to do the Z07 style with the canards. With the GTZ diffuser, there's also a more factory looking diffuser that has a little bit of the GTZ molded into it as well, just without the diffuser fins at the bottom. So if you want to try to go for more of a subdued look, but still do the carbon fiber, you can do that as well. There's a lot of options on the site, and you don't have to necessarily just go with what you see here.
All right, so we're over here on my car. We've got our regular Z06 diffuser that Justin was just mentioning, and then our lower trim piece. So these are two separate pieces. This carbon piece here is actually the same on the C8 Stingray and on the wide body cars. So you can add this with our GT diffuser or ST diffuser for the C8 and for the E-Ray, or you can use it on the Z06. And then up here you've got kind of our standard Z06 diffuser as opposed to the GTZ diffuser on Justin's car, which is more similar to the stock diffuser. We still exaggerated these outside parts and this shelf right here, and you'll see that some of the geometry on the bottom around the exhaust is a little bit different. But this is something for somebody who is just looking for kind of a carbon fiber rear diffuser that has a stock look for their Z06 or Z07 or ZR1. It has a little bit more airflow out, you know, if you're in a really hot climate or something like that, but it's a little bit less aggressive. So it's kind of a in the middle option for people.
I kind of am more of an aggressive look kind of guy, and I like all the way all this stuff plays together. I just realized that all the lower kit stuff is all the GTZ kit, and it's because Bill obviously designed that to be a little more aggressive than factory. And then of course the ZR1-esque wing just really puts the cherry on top. But again, massive catalog from RSC. This is just a taste of it, and this is going to be something that, because it's such a wild departure from what most people will do, this is going to be something that's going to be offered specifically as an HPO kit. So if it is something you're interested in, check out the link in the description down below where you'll be able to contact RSC, get this thing done, and yeah, you're going to love it. I mean, look at this thing. It's freaking amazing looking. But huge thank you to Bill, as usual. We came up here and had a bunch of this stuff done, and the guy behind the camera is TJ. You guys know TJ. He's awesome too. Between these two guys, they got this ridiculously awesome carbon fiber done on the car. It looks amazing, and I mean, there's not much else to say about it. You're going to see it at Corvettes at Carlisle. Again, big thank you to Bill. Thank you. Come by Carlisle, say hi. Bill will be in the booth with us. Yep. So we'll have a bunch of different examples of RSC stuff between my car, his C8, and even David DBM Racing's C8. So come say hi, check this stuff out, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Great. I look forward to seeing you.
Awesome, guys. So thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't yet, and as always, stay obsessed.
And drink Mountain Dew.